welcome back. If you haven't been here before, my name is Kim, and this is the space where we do science experiments from home. And the space where we probably make a giant mess of your house. So today, we're gonna do a popular experiment called elephant toothpaste, which is a pretty simple reaction, but it's gained a lot of popularity on things like YouTube and all of those things. So, what we're gonna do first is gather all of our materials, which you know if you've done this before. So we need something. I'm using a big dish, kind of like a casserole dish, and that's gonna help contain the mess because it is gonna make quite a mess. We're gonna need some warm water and some yeast. This is active yeast, and I recommend that you kind of follow the instructions on the yeast packet, but it's about 1 tablespoon of yeast to 3 tablespoons of water. I'm gonna mix that up in a second. We also are gonna need hydrogen peroxide. Now, it sounds pretty fancy, but hydrogen peroxide is pretty common. It's often used for healing cuts and scrapes. So you can usually get it at places like Shoppers Drug Mart or any kind of pharmacy in your community. We're also going to need some food coloring. We're going to need a bottle. We're going to need some dish soap, a funnel, and then just some measuring kind of devices. Most importantly today, for dealing with the hydrogen peroxide, we are going to need to wear goggles, and we're also going to need to be wearing gloves. If you don't have goggles, any kind of eye protection will work. And the reason that we're going to do that is because hydrogen peroxide in high concentrations is corrosive, and it's also quite irritating. So it's not very good for your skin, and we really don't want to get it in your eyes. So I really recommend that for younger people, this is a step that maybe parents do for them. But for older kids, maybe this is something that you just get parental supervision with. And just as always, be very, very careful. So I'm going to practice what I preach, and I'm going to put on my gloves and my glasses. Not recommended. I took off my real glasses to put on these glasses, but we're just going to ignore that. Okay, so for the first step, you're going to put half a cup of hydrogen peroxide into your plastic bottle. Now, I already did this step, so you can go ahead and do that now. The next thing that you're going to do is kind of up to you. So you can put just one kind of food coloring in, or you can try and do the elephant toothpaste where you run it down the sides, which is what I'm going to try and do, but who knows, I'm not very artistic. If you do want it to just be one color, just pop the food coloring in, give it a little mix, and you should be good to go. So I'm going to use a couple different colors. I'm going to get a little bit creative, see what happens. These gloves are way too big for me, so this is a problem. Is this not open? Oh. Science is so hard when things don't go according to plan. Bye. Oh, I'm making a terrible mess. So what we're gonna do is take our food coloring, and I'm gonna try and do the elephant toothpaste one. Keyword there is try. So I'm gonna use all 3 colors, and I'm just gonna put them down the sides. So squirt a little bit in the top, and then just let it run down. You can do it. Come on, gravity. Do your thing. So how's it going? How's quarantining for everyone? How's not going to school? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Let me know. Personally, love wearing my pajamas every day. Don't really love any other part of it. That color at the bottom is scary. Okay, so I warmed up my water, so I'm gonna do my yeast now. So as I mentioned, about 1 package of yeast, or about 1 tablespoon, depending on how big your packages are. And yeast is pretty easy to find too, usually in the baking aisle. If your parent or your caregiver does a lot of baking, you might already have it in your house. Or if you have a grandmas seem like people who probably have yeast. Or, you know, if your neighbor is a grandma, go social distance, but maybe ask if you could have it. Before we add our yeast, we need to do a little drop of dishwashing soap. Okay. So now that we have this terrifying concoction going on in there and our yeast is ready to go, we are going to add our yeast into the bottle and see what happens. And then I'll explain to you after what's happening. Ready? as you can see, this is an exothermic reaction. So I'm actually not sure if you can see it, but there is some heat coming off of it. Oh, my bread's coming through. So mine didn't turn it out exactly like toothpaste, but you know, what are you gonna do? And now we understand the importance of having this dish here. So what's happening in this reaction is we have, as I mentioned, that hydrogen peroxide, which does degrade and it breaks down, and it turns into water and oxygen. Now we're using our active dry yeast in this situation, which acts as a catalyst. And catalysts, they make the reactions happen faster. So it's degrading really quickly and it's producing all of that oxygen and water. And we put that dish soap in because the dish soap is going to catch all of the oxygen so that it expands and creates a foam. And I mean, the colors are just there because it makes it more fun. So that's it for our experiment today. I hope you have lots of fun doing this at home. I will mention you can use 6% hydrogen peroxide, which is what I used, or you can use 3% hydrogen peroxide. 6 makes it a little bit more dramatic, but 3 works just as well. I would advise against going into any higher concentrations just because they are quite dangerous and definitely not kid-friendly. So thank you. You can touch it now that it's cold. That's okay. Just make sure you keep your gloves on. So that's it for today. I'll see you next time.